So as Bill said, my name is Ian Bushfield. I'm the Executive Director of the BC Humanist Association. I started this job about just over 3 months ago. Before that, I was the President of the democratically elected Board of Directors. The year before that, I was the Secretary. And before that, I just showed up to a few meetings after I moved to Vancouver in fall of 2009. Before that, I was the President of the University of Alberta Atheists and Agnostics that I founded at the University of Alberta, where I was a student for 5 years studying engineering physics. I moved to Vancouver to do a master's in physics because it seemed like a good idea at the time and I didn't know what to do with an engineering physics degree. At the U of A, I'm actually going to be heading back there to visit some friends and family, so I'll be speaking to them too. I'll be speaking to them specifically on physics because they don't seem to care about humanism. They already figured out the atheism thing. But tonight I'm here to tell you about what humanism is, because some of you probably know very well. I know we have some longtime members of the BC Humanists are very active, and others who may have never heard of the idea that there's more than just atheism. So I once described humanism as atheism with a heart, and I think I've even described it as atheism plus before, which is incredibly ironic if you read blogs and controversy, and maybe Bill's complained about it to you, but humanism gives you a positive philosophy beyond just whether or not there is a God. You know, it almost takes that question and makes it boring because it says, well, there's a lot of other stuff we care about. I've described it 2 ways. My new favorite way is just with 3 words: reason, compassion, and hope. Just nice 3 simple values that I think we can all share. Reason, just sort of the idea that we can think about the world, we can understand this world and know everything, we can know things about it. We won't know everything ever, but we're intelligent apes. We can start to think about things, understand our place in the world, and understand that we should be good to one another, just because it's a better way to live than to be mean to one another, because that leads to more pain and suffering. And that brings us to compassion. So we should care about how other people live. We should have compassion for one another. And hope, I don't mean as the blind faith in the better future. I mean hope as in we believe we can affect a positive, progressive future. You know, we can make tomorrow better. And the emphasis is on we can. So if we don't do anything, future's gonna probably suck. Like, look at the forces of, not evil, but the other side, our cultural competitors, as I've heard it called, who are out there to renounce reason, to renounce compassion, to base on dogma, supernaturalism, and just basically, they say they have the answers, well, they can prove it. So our hope is sort of a belief somewhat rooted in evidence that we can make a difference in the future. The other way I'd like to describe humanism comes from the American Humanist Association as a progressive worldview informed by science, inspired by art, and motivated by compassion. So once again, you see the same kind of themes. We care about understanding the world. We care about ethics. We care about being moral. And we're not just science and philosophy geeks. We also like movies and art and TV and music. And wine. I guess that's why you're all here. If your pub doesn't have wine, that's why no one goes to that.
That might be it.
I mean, that's sort of the simplest version of humanism. You can go and read, Paul Kurtz has mountains of philosophy on it. Humanists love writing manifestos since about the 1930s, who've written 3 to 5, depending which ones you count as true humanism. And there's tons of essays and literature, but it all comes back to sort of the same ideas of, you know, a naturalistic worldview where humanity can figure things out. One of the first issues I personally had with humanism as an idea is it seems speciesist, right? It's humanism. It's not, you know, but we know some dolphins are intelligent. We know there's other apes that are intelligent, you know, maybe not conscious on the same level, but they can figure things out. They can react with tools, and they can behave morally to one another. But the sort of excuse I've heard to come back to the word humanism, besides just it's convenient and has sort of a history behind it, is humans are the only species we know of that has a moral system, that can self-actualize and can figure this out. And the other way I justify it is we can broaden the word human. Like, we are Homo sapien as our species, but human could come to mean anything, anyone, any being that can self-actualize. So there's maybe that criticism. What do we do at the BC Humanist Association? Probably a lot of what you do at the Kamloops Centre for Rational Thought.
Drink.
We specifically have weekly meetings every Sunday morning, not because we're a church for the godless. We just need a time that's convenient for a bunch of people who don't go to church. Well, that happens to be Sunday mornings when you don't have other things to do. And it's developed. But we also hold book clubs. We hold lectures and invite speakers. In the future, we're hoping to have marriage officiants to actually perform humanist weddings in BC, and humanist funerals and humanist memorials and humanist baby welcomings or naming ceremonies. Not just to do what religion does, but we get the demand. We just get emails of people saying, do you do this? Or I would like to do this for you. And we're like, well, there's clearly a demand. There's, at that very pragmatic level, it's useful. And there's some rational value, or irrational value maybe even, to our satisfying our monkey brain sort of desires for marking significant ceremonies and significant passages of life. So that's part of what we're doing.